Traveling and aviation are my two favorite things. So, I feel like with enough determination and kind of belief in yourself that, yeah, you just got to trust the process and you'll get there.
What was scarier then? Race across the world or that first flight?
I'll go for the first flight. I mean, starting the race was daunting, like on that start line and the klaxon or whatever it was goes and you're off, like that was scary. But no, that first flight was, yeah, no, that was probably one of the scarier moments in my life for sure.
Welcome to the InAviation podcast. This week we are joined virtually by Owen Wood, winner of Race Across the World BBC TV series last year. We're going to be talking to him about the show itself, Racing Across the World, what was that like, and also about his journey into becoming a pilot. It's great to have you on the pod, Owen. It's brilliant to have you on. If people aren't familiar with Owen, Owen was on BBC's Race Across the World. He was winner. With his friend Alfie, but yeah, we've got you on really because you're going through quite I'd say an exciting phase of your life. You've been on BBC, you've travelled around the world, and now you're kind of getting into being a pilot as well. So I really want to talk to you about like your journeys and everything that's been going on in that, and then go into that. So I'm going to ask you the inevitable question: what was it like to win?
Winning. Honestly, a lot of people say like the main feeling must have been excitement, but honestly, for me, it was just relief. Like, don't get me wrong, excitement was there, very close behind, but relief was the main feeling, just because 2 months of like hard work, like a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, so many sleepless nights, days without showers, days without barely eating. Like, honestly, getting to the finish line was just more of a relief than anything. And then once I kind of got that initial kind of relief feeling out of the way, then it was just mainly excitement.
Because that was your first sort of real chance of like travelling, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I've done, I've obviously been on like family holidays and stuff like that before, and, trips with friends and that, but nothing like, I'd never done kind of Southeast Asia in its entirety like I had done there. So that was the first kind of proper taste of that, yeah.
Yeah, no, it was wild. I'd probably say that was the best season series episode like series that I'd actually watched of all of them. I think it was just there was a bit more to it. I mean, this series was pretty good, but I think the one that you were on was probably the best one so far.
Yeah, the route was we were lucky with our route obviously because we had something like 7 or 8 countries and it was all through Southeast Asia. And like now I know that I love that part of the world. So not being biased or anything, we did get a really good route. So I'm pleased we kind of were able to do that bit that we got.
Yeah, no, that's cool. If you haven't seen the series, it's on BBC One, it's on iPlayer, but you got the price of an airfare for two people, and you had to travel from Japan all the way down to Lombok.
Yeah, just next to Bali. Yeah,
which is and you had to do it with no telephones,
no credit card,
literally nothing, and it was. It was a graft by the looks of it, but we'll talk about that a bit later. We'll talk a little bit about that later in the podcast because I think there's going to be there's probably a few bits in there. I've got loads of questions. I mean, I'm a big fan of the show, but
far away.
You're becoming a pilot basically, which is why you're on the pod. So tell me a little bit about you becoming a pilot and where are you? What's going on?
So I mean, it's been a bit of a wild ride, obviously with the race and everything, but kind of starting from the beginning, it was about 14, 15. I kind of, knew I had an interest for planes. Like my favorite TV show was the air crash investigation on the Discovery Channel, I think it was. I don't know if they still do it. I haven't watched it for a while, but that used to be my absolute favorite thing. I just found it so interesting, and that kind of sparked my interest in aviation and stuff like that. And then, you get to 17, 18 years old, and you kind of have to start thinking what you want to do with your life, picking, either uni or college or working, whatever you want to do. And I knew kind of uni wasn't really what I wanted to do. I love the social side of things, so that would have suited me fine, but just none of the courses interested me and that's when I kind of started really like looking into aviation and the pilot stuff in specific as a career. And so I left school, did my A levels. A lot of my mates went off to uni and I went off to start pilot training. Obviously you start with your PPL. So did that. That took me just under a year, I think it was. It was a little while ago. So I was doing that, and then the race stuff came around, and that obviously, I don't want to say threw a spanner in the works because it wasn't a bad thing, but it yeah, it kind of changed the trajectory of my training, if you would. So yeah, so I've still only got my PPL, and because since the race and stuff like that, I've mainly just been traveling. Like I haven't actually been home a lot. So I went back to Southeast Asia at the end of last year, for about 4 or 5 months. That was solo backpacking, and then I'm doing more traveling at the end of this year, down to Australia and places like Bali. And then when I'm back from that, that's when I'm going to pick up my training again. So I've been on a bit of a hiatus from it, if you would, because of the whole race stuff and traveling. But it's still very much, yeah, the goal and yeah, what's going to happen.
So how many hours then have you got under your belt?
Oh mate, I'm in it for a while, but it's like I think about 105, 110, something like that. Yeah. So I've only got my PPL, and then I was doing owl building after I got my PPL. And then that's when the race kind of came around, and that's when I had to kind of put it on hold and yeah, kind of crack on with the race and stuff like that.
So you're going through the route of the modular approach, I guess.
That was what I was starting to do, yeah. However, when I pick it back up, there's several different other like programs, like Ryanair. They have their program. I think it's joint with AFTA. I think it was. I went to a Pilot Careers Live event last year, to kind of get my options for like my next steps and stuff like that. And Ryanair have kind of a mentored program that you can pick up. I think if you've got your PPL, you're allowed to pick it up,
Yeah.
from there, and then carry on with all the training through there. And at the end of that, they give you like a conditional job offer, that you start training with, and then that you start flying with them with. And then EasyJet, they have their program with the CAE as well, I believe. So that was another option, but that involves moving to Arizona, I believe it was, for 6 months to do to do some of the exams and stuff like that. So I've got a few options. So I started with yeah, that route, and then I'm kind of going to change onto one with an airline, hopefully.
Have you, so, because I mean, I don't know if you've seen any of our shows. I was kind of looking at the route. I looked at the EasyJet option, and I got to the point and then realizing that, God, that's a lot of money.
So this is the big thing in aviation that holds a lot of people back, is the money. Like it's not cheap. Like, to go from nothing to pilot is like, well, the modular is like what, 80, 90,000, but integrated and stuff like that, it's 110, 120 plus. So it is a big, yeah, it's a big thing. But lucky, I've got my parents who can support me, and I've been working since I was 16 years old. So I put money towards it as well. So I've got a plan to kind of make it work. But yeah, money is a big problem these days for people trying to get into aviation, because it's not cheap. It's not cheap.
When it comes to that, so you're kind of going through it at the moment. Have you got any like fears about the next steps as well? Because obviously you're going to go from having quite relaxed lifestyle into something that is going to be like full on.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, yeah, of course. I wouldn't. I'm not. It'd be silly to say I'm going into it with no worries at all, and I think I'll just breeze through it and become a pilot just like that. But is that realistic? That's not going to how it work. Well, not how it's going to work. So I know I've got an interest in it. I know how kind of much and how much drive I've got to want to get to that kind of final stage. And because I know that I do believe in myself that I will be able to get there, and that I will put in the work and time to be able to kind of get to that final step and then work as a pilot. Because I know I can't really see myself doing anything else, in my life, to be honest. It's traveling and aviation are my two favorite things. So, I feel like with enough determination and kind of belief in yourself that, yeah, you just got to trust the process, and you'll get there.
What's the what was your first experience then when you got behind the yoke for the first time, so to speak?
It's not really a feeling that you've ever, because obviously when you go on these are very small planes you start off, you only have like 4 or 6 seaters or whatever. So like, yeah, it's a very small kind of, yeah, tin can, like a little Cessna or something like that. They're normally quite old planes. They're well maintained and stuff like that, but they're quite, a bit rickety, a bit shaky. And you're like up there, and it's just you're the one flying, and you're with your instructor. So it's quite a surreal feeling, yeah, being behind the yoke for the first time. But I feel like instantly you'll kind of know if it's something you want to do or not. And the minute I started flying, like after my first trial flight, I was like, yeah, this is absolutely what I want to be doing in my life.
'Cause I've not done the real thing yet, so to speak.
Yeah,
We've done some simulator stuff on the
yeah,
podcast.
simulators are fun. Yeah,
Can any moron land a plane? And I did manage to land it.
yeah.
But when you've gone through sort of like just doing your private pilot license, was there any times in that where you're like, Jesus, this is scary or sketchy, or because I've like I keep saying to everybody, I do not want to get in a single engine plane. I don't know why. Exactly. That's probably for the reason what you said is they're a bit wobbly, they're a little bit flimsy. It's like being a
Yeah.
tin can. It's a
Mm.
tin can that some random person that you don't know is maintaining, and yeah, I don't want to be on air crash investigation, basically.
No, that's fair. I mean, flying's never really. Yeah, obviously a lot of people do have a big fear of flying, which I completely understand. It's quite a weird thing to be in with people flying it who you don't know, and like you say, people who are maintaining these planes and looking after them who you don't know. So it is quite a weird feeling. So I get people's fear of flying, but for me, it's kind of just never. I don't know. It's just never really bothered me. It's never scared me much. Like you get a bit of turbulence when you're on a passenger plane. I find that quite fun to be honest. Like a lot of people are scared it will kind of fall out of the sky, but I actually enjoy a bit of turbulence. I think it makes the flight a bit more interesting. So for me now, I'm not really. Yeah, it just doesn't really faze me. And I know how safe it is these days. Obviously, there's been a lot of like incidents this year. You know, recently, obviously the Air India crash. That's a big like what happened there in the aviation world. So that'll be interesting to see what comes out with that. But you know, overall, the safety record for flying is so good, and it's especially in the UK, everything's so strict and kind of procedural that I don't know. I just kind of trust in those people who are in charge of that to do a good job, and it seems like for the most part that they are. So I just put my trust in that, and that seems to kind of satisfy me.
What do you think your biggest challenge is going to be when you're on sort of like one of the the MPL route? What do you think that's going to be the biggest challenge for you there? Because I know that how it's having had a few people on, and you know they've spoken about it quite clearly. It's the first 6 months of ground school are like
That's literally what my first point was going to be. I think obviously I said like I'm quite motivated, and you know I feel like I'm quite dedicated to getting there. But you can be as motivated and dedicated as you like, and that doesn't take away from the fact that how hard and tedious. So I've been told is what like I've met a few pilots. That's what they told me. It is like it's a lot of work. It's a lot of theory. You're not going to enjoy all of it, like anything. So it's kind of a just The hardest part is going to be pushing through those little bits that realistically you don't have much of an interest in, but you've got to do to get there. But everyone's got to do it, and if you kind of have enough determination, then you can get there absolutely fine.
have you been kind of like prepping yourself for it, or are you just getting yourself to a point where look, you want to get all the fun out of the way with, and then like laser focused on getting it done?
It's what people have said to me. They've been like, "Oh, do you not want to kind of just get your pilot stuff done as quickly as you can?" And I really do. Like, I really do miss the flying. Like over the past year or so, not really having flown because of all the TV stuff and stuff like that. I do really miss it, but I've just realised that after the race, there has been other things I've wanted to do first, such as do a bit more travelling, kind of solo backpacking, live in another country. I'm sure I'll be able to live in other countries when I'm older and stuff like that. But while I'm young, I've just realised there's other stuff I kind of like want to get out of the way first, kind of get out of my system, and then fully focus on the flying and stuff because I don't want to go into my training thinking, oh, like I wish I went to Australia for a bit, or I wish I did a bit more traveling. I kind of want to get the traveling and stuff I want to done first out of the way, and then I can kind of put my full attention into the flying and be like, right, this is my life for the next however many years now.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, that because I know I know other people that have qualified, they're
Hmm.
flying, and then they've just gone a massive career break, and then they've tried to get back into it, and then they have got back into it. So it's interesting, kind of like you want to live out the fun to start with, and then sort of get into something a bit
Yeah,
more serious. Quite cool.
yeah, I think a lot of obviously you can go on career breaks and stuff like that, but I know what I'm like. If my mind's kind of semi focused on something else at the same time as doing my flying, I won't be fully committed to it. So I'm not saying like once my fun's done now, that's it for the rest of my life. I'm not gonna have any fun anymore. But just the main chunk of what I want to be doing now, get that kind of done, and then I can be able to focus on, the next stage of my life and so on.
Has the race then? I mean, obviously the race has come. You said it kind of threw a little bit of a spanner in the works. Do you feel that if the race hadn't been there, you'd be qualified, you'd be flying around now, or?
I think I'd be a lot closer. Yeah, maybe not fully qualified with the job, but I would have done a lot more of the training. Put it that way. I think I would have still gone backpacking, around Asia or wherever at some point. But yeah, I think without a doubt I'd be a lot more further down the line. But like I said, it's not really a spanner in the works because it's not a bad thing. It's just something else that's happened in my life, and some things have to go on hold for a while you focus on other things. There's nothing wrong with that.
How much has the race then changed your life? You said that you've been doing a lot of TV work and so on and so forth, but how much has the like being on that show just changed everything?
I mean, at the start, obviously, when the first show comes out, you go from I don't like using the word like a normal average person to being kind of semi well known and like getting recognized. Like we're not famous or celebrities or anything like that, but going out in town or whatever, or when you go to the gym and getting recognized, that's weird, and you have to get used to that a little bit. But it's after a while it just becomes fairly like feels kind of normal after a while. And then obviously, you've got TV staff and the media and companies kind of wanted to do brand deals and stuff like that. So at the start, your life changes massively. Like does a complete 180 onto a different course, and then you can kind of either carry on that course, carry on doing the media stuff, TV, social media stuff like that, or you can kind of slip back into the life you're in before. That's the route I've gone, just because TV and social media. Like I like doing a little bit here and there, but I would never want to make it my career. It's just not for me. But I like doing little bits and like podcasts like this here and there. But I'm kind of phased back into a normal life, so to speak.
Yeah, it's interesting. Alfie seems to have gone a little bit the other way. Like he pops up on like Instagram every 2 minutes.
Yeah, no, he likes exactly that's what I'm saying. Like that's the route he wanted to go down. He likes doing the social media and TV stuff, and like I said, I like doing bits here and there. But I would never want to make it career. And my career is just not my kind of thing.
No, fair enough. Have you still got a lot of commitments to this show, even though the show's been and gone?
Not massively, no, not now. To be honest, my main commitments at the minute have just been working to save up to do a little bit more traveling, and then once that's done, get back into the flying. So like stuff like this, you get companies asking to do brand deals, and you get invited to like events for like red carpets and stuff like that. So little bits come here and there, but it's not as full on as it was at the start.
No, that's cool. I suppose that now that the other series has been out, you can kind of take a bit of a back step and.
Yeah, I guess so. But then when the new series comes out, obviously there's a lot of new watchers. So then they go back and watch your series and the one from before that and the one from before that. So you kind of, when the new series comes out, you end up getting a bit more attention kind of each year anyway. But it's nothing like it was when it first came out.
How was that on the first? 'Cause I remember the first couple of episodes of that series. How did you feel after the first couple of episodes aired?
I can't. I don't know. So much happened. It just all turns into a blur. But I do remember the first episode watching it at home. I think I was there with my mum and dad, and maybe one of my brothers. And like when it comes up on the TV and you see your face there, and it's you on BBC. It's not like off someone's phone that they're airplaying to the TV. Like it's actually on BBC One, and it's your face and you're talking. It is weird. It was a bit of a like, I don't know if I want to watch this. But after the first episode, you kind of just get used to seeing your face on TV and on your phone and stuff like that, because everyone's posting about it. So you get used to it after a while, but it's a weird feeling at the start. But yeah.
Did you get a lot of random people messaging you, a bit like me, saying stuff to you?
Yeah, no, you do. You get people kind of slowly start to find your Instagram, and obviously when we won the race, at the end, a lot of people messaged us saying like, "Oh, like well done and proud of us," or we inspired them to do some traveling or something like that. So yeah, no, you do get a lot of people messaging you. Some requests are weirder than others, if I'm honest. But yeah, for the most part, it's people just kind of congratulating you and stuff like that.
That's cool. I remember that first two episodes. The reason why I asked that is that to start with, I thought that they portrayed you in such a way that you're like, oh, I don't want them to win. But as the whole series went on, I think you kind of end up like wanting that like set of people to win. And they did the exact same in this series of like, I've forgotten the name of the mother and the son. They kind of set
Tom
them
and
up.
Caroline, yeah.
Yeah, they set them up to be like a little bit useless or a little bit annoying to start with, and then by the end of it, you're like fully engrossed in. Yeah, you want them to win.
I think because obviously we were the young boys kind of of our series, and at the start, a lot of people thought we were just kind of there for a laugh. Which, don't get me wrong, I was there to have a good time and stuff like that, which I did. But yeah, no, a lot of people just think they're kind of two young lads who are going to just mess around, not really take it seriously. But the kind of trajectory of the show kind of changed and showed that we were like fairly serious about it, but we also that we wanted to have a good time and stuff like that.
I know. I think they definitely you could see that as it went on. Would you do it? I know Alfie keeps going on about like was it the Legends version? He really wants to do it again. Would you do it again?
Oh, like a Champions, yeah. That's been floating around a lot. A lot of people say they want to see that online, and yeah, Alfie's always been to like the producers like, oh, can we make it happen and stuff like that. And if it happened, I would do it. Like I can't say no to something like that. Like as tough and as yeah, like as worrying and stuff as it was and hard, I would do it again. Like I couldn't say no to it.
Well, yeah, it'd be good if they did the shit of the shit, because there's that couple that lost their money. There's the other couple that
Oh
just got,
yeah,
that would be even funnier,
yeah.
because
To
there
be
were
fair,
some
that would be
people that were just
interesting.
really bad.
Yeah, no, that would have been pretty funny. What, so do a champions of champions and then a
The
compilation
best
of
of the
all the
best and
bad
the
stuff.
shit of the shit.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
would be pretty funny. See both sides of it, or just do a complete mix up of everyone. That'd be fun to watch. But no, I would do it again. But yeah, no, God, it was hard. Yeah, it was hard.
Because everyone I speak to, I mean, I was going to apply with Ravi, who's, yeah, I was
Mm,
chatting to you about earlier.
mm.
We wanted to apply this time, but I can't do it. I've got a small kid, so it
Yeah,
wouldn't
fair
work.
enough.
But yeah, I'd love to do it because I think I could do it. But the problem is, I don't think it's like anything like normal traveling or doing anything ever made to be. Like, it's
Nothing. I
all well and
mean,
good being at home and being like Rio to Rome. Yeah, I'll just go that way.
oh yeah, but it's easy when you yeah. It's always it's one of the, it's like watching a quiz show, like Tipping Point or The Chase. Like when you're at home and you're watching and you know it and you're not the one on the camera, it's so easy. But when you're the one in that situation on camera under that pressure, it's so difficult. And like who goes traveling without a credit card or like their mobile phone nowadays? Like no one. Like I never would have done it if it wasn't for the race. So it's kind of hard to understand what it's like doing it without a phone or a credit card and stuff like that because like no one does that.
How was backpacking when you had a phone and a credit card?
Oh, so much better. So like just I can't explain how much easier it was. Like having a phone and a credit card, like you can take cash out when you want, you can message people when you want, you can go on Google Maps, you know, book hostels, look at like everything you can do on your phone, right? So like I'm glad we did it without our phones and credit cards on the race because that it was a good experience and it's fun to see how well it works. But it was just it was so relieving when I could just go on my phone when I want and watch a video or whatever.
No, I can imagine.
This episode is brought to you by Pilot Bible, the ultimate online platform for pilots by pilots. Whether you're training, job hunting, or flying full time, Pilot Bible has got your six. From study guides, interview preps, to operational knowledge, career insights, it's all streamlined into one smart, pilot-friendly hub. Forget trawling through forums or juggling outdated PDFs. Just head to pilotbible.com and see why thousands of aviators are calling it their go-to resource. That's pilotbible.com. Learn smarter, fly further.
Kind of go back to the sort of the flying sort of side of things. Obviously, you've spoken. You're going to be getting back into it in once you finish with your other commitments and things. Have you got any sort of funny moments that have happened so far since you've been learning, or sketchy moments that you want to
In
talk
my
about?
nothing crazy. I mean, there was a couple sketchy points where like sometimes when you're flying, people in the UK will know how quickly our weather can change. Like it's so bipolar. So they'll be flying 1 minute, weather's absolutely fine. 5 minutes later, you have a massive cloud, or like the winds will just descend onto you, and you're like, shit, like I need to get back now. Because when you're starting to fly, obviously there's a lot of kind of parameters that you need to stay within, like weather limits and stuff like that. So if it's too windy, if the visibility is not good enough, you know, you have to stay within those kind of limits and minimums. So yeah, no, a few times the weather has just come down on me, like rain, wind, and I've been like in the middle of nowhere with a like 15-20 minute flight back to base or whatever. And it's been like on my own, and I've been like, shit, like I need to kind of get a move on and stuff like that. But apart from that, nothing too crazy. I mean, when I first got my license, obviously you kind of fly a plane where you want and whatnot. So I flew over like my parents' house and like my grandparents' house, and you just go to little places, you know. So that's fun. I like doing that.
What was that first flight like on your own? Because I imagine for myself, I'd probably be shitting my pants.
My first solo. I mean, everyone who's started flying will always remember their first solo flight, and it's yeah. How many? Was I 18 or 19 hours into flight training? I did my first solo circuit around the airfield, and I do remember my instructor. They set you up right next to the start of the runway, and they're like, right, you're on your own now. You do what you want, and they'll get out, and then you were just there by yourself, and you're like, oh my god, like it is, like you're up there all by yourself, and like you have got no one but yourself to kind of help you out. So it has to happen at some. You have to do a flight at some point by yourself. So it's a fun feeling when you're up there and you're like, oh, right, I'm doing fine. But when they get out of the plane and they shut the door and you are there by yourself, you're like, oh my god, like this is all down to me, like down like this. Yeah, my fate is dependent on my skills and my competence and stuff like that.
Never looked at it in that way. I mean, yeah, your life is actually in your own hands.
It is,
weirdly enough.
yeah.
At that point, how do you cope with the nerves?
I mean, to be honest, mate, you don't really have a choice. Like, if you're gonna start doing flight training, you can't be like, oh no, I don't want to do my first flight. I'm too scared. It's kind of like, you kind of just have to get on with it. Like, you just got to back yourself and realize that if your instructor is letting you go out by yourself, realistically, you've proven enough to them that you're competent and you can do it by yourself. They wouldn't let you go out there unless you demonstrated safe flying to them and stuff like that. So you just got to kind of trust them that they think you're good enough, and also just back yourself, and also just get on with it. To be honest,
what was scarier then, race across the world or that first flight?
Oh, that
solo.
I was going to say that first flight, but I honestly, I'll go for the first flight. I mean, starting the race was daunting. Like, on that start line, and the klaxon or whatever it was goes, and you're off. Like, that was scary. But no, that first flight was, yeah, no, that was probably one of the scarier moments in my life for sure.
I know we're circling back around, jumping around about a bit here, but had you met any of those people at the hotel beforehand? Did you roughly know who they were, or was that all completely like, oh my god, that is genuine first time I met them all?
Yeah, no. We literally, they were so strict on keeping us separate. Like, this is all public knowledge now. But yeah, no, we literally had met them on the start line for the very first time, because they wanted it to kind of be an authentic first time meeting and stuff like that, and they wanted us to get to know each other gradually throughout the race, like not all at the start. So yeah, no, that was genuine. We genuinely did meet on the start line for the very first time.
That's cool. But back to flying again. Long-term goals, obviously. Mid-term, I guess, it's qualify. It's get your ATPL and go down that route. Is it long haul that you want to do? Short haul? Where are you thinking once you've qualified and you're in a job? Is the long haul?
Oh yeah, the aim's long haul. I mean, obviously, pretty much everyone, I think, if not everyone, they all start on short haul. You build up your hours, you kind of get your competence, and then hopefully the opportunity arises to go to a long haul airline like British Airways, Virgin Atlantic, or who. To be honest, I don't really have much of a preference for what airline, but I know that long haul is the goal, at least for a bit of my life, for sure.
Yeah. So you said you didn't have a preference for airline, but would you consider? I know that there's a couple of airlines doing it at the moment. There's a Japanese airline called Peachy that are looking for Western pilots to go and fly out of Japan back over this way. And then I know Emirates, Etihad, Qatar, Saudi, they're all kind of doing similar schemes as well. Like, if you look at them, the perks of them are insane. I think the perks on the Riyadh Air one are like they are absolutely mental. Would you consider relocating?
Oh yeah, no, I've said for years now that I want to live abroad. Not for my whole life, I don't think, unless I really like a place, but I definitely want to relocate. And fly about a different country for sure. Like, I haven't heard of this Peachy airline you said about, but I'm going back to Japan this year, and I've always said that Japan's been my favorite country. So, an airline, if they offered that sort of thing, that good money, living out of Japan, I would not say no to that. But yeah, no, living anywhere really, just other than England, to get a good experience of living abroad that's the goal for me.
Oh, I'll have to try and see if we can put you in touch with the HR director there, because
that would be cool. I need to look into this. I need to look into that Peachy thing. I haven't heard of it before.
Yeah, it's quite surprising actually. I think there's just a lure of, it's all well and good having like your natives from those countries and stuff, but I think it's just a lure of trying to bring other people in as well. It kind of adds a bit more to the airline. Previously, I think it was all funded, and it was quite a sexy career, and now it's like, oh, you, by the way, give us 100 grand, and then you can become a pilot, and you've got hours after hours after hours after hours you've got to go through. So it's not like, oh, right, go away, you're going to fly 747 to Cancun, you're going to spend a week in Cancun, and then you're going to fly back.
Yeah, I mean, when you get to the top and like you're a captain on long haul or something, I think obviously that's the kind of glamorous pilot lifestyle people kind of look up to. But yeah, no, people don't think about they do, but they all the money that you have to spend to get there, all the hours you have to put in to get there. It's easy to kind of overlook all that stuff and focus on just the kind of glamorous lifestyle you were talking about. But you kind of need to go through the tough shit to get there, but that's what it's all about.
So it's a lot. I mean, I think the ground school stuff is probably going to be the hardest part. I think the hands-on bit would be so much fun,
Oh
but
yeah,
the
yeah.
ground school stuff is just like
It's a lot of theory. Yeah.
I've asked a couple of pilots and be like, "Do you still use that?" And they'll all say yes, but really, do you actually use it all the time?
I mean, it's going to be quite. Yeah, I know. I've spoken to a few pilots I've met as well on Instagram and stuff, and they say, obviously, yeah, they say they use it, but I guess if you're putting that much time into learning all of it, and you need to, really understand it, then it is going to be fairly important and kind of relevant to what you're doing. So, I mean, take it as some confidence that they kind of know what they're talking about and they know what they're doing if they still remember all the ATPL training and stuff like that.
Have you got a dream aircraft that you want to fly, or have you already flown it?
Oh no, I mean I've only really flown like Cessnas and Pipers and stuff like that. But I mean, dream for most pilots it's obviously got to be a 747. Like that's the basic answer. But 747 or something like an A380, just the size of them will never kind of be boring to me. Like me and Alfie, British Airways invited us down to Heathrow after the race, just kind of do a little promo video, like a tour around the airport, if you would, and around their aircraft and stuff like that. I like getting up and close with an A380. It's just they look big when you're kind of looking at it outside from a window, but when you're stood next to it, like the size of them is just unbelievable. Like you can't really understand how they can fly and get in the air. So to be able to be the person flying that and being in control of that would be, yeah, that would probably be the best feeling. So yeah, no, some sort of double decker.
Have you thought about owning a plane or anything, like buying your own at some
Well,
point?
I mean, yeah, it's expensive enough to train, let alone buy one. I mean, in the future, maybe if I've saved up enough money and I've retired at 60 or 5 or something like that, and I want to kind of do it as a hobby, then yeah, sure. But yeah, no, buying a plane would not be on the cards for for quite a while, especially after having to pay off all the flight school stuff first.
No, I mean, I guess that. I mean, I've had this conversation with other pilots and stuff, and it's really interesting because everyone says like A380 or 747 or Concorde, but nobody comes back and is like, yeah, one of the Gulfstream ones. But they're sort of because Starbucks were looking for a
Yeah, I saw
pilot
this.
for their executive team.
So private aviation would be cool, but I think for now, sticking to commercial, flying for like yeah, Emirates, Ryanair, British Airways, kind of anything like that. But yeah, private. I like to keep my options open, like something like yeah, Gulfstream with I don't know VistaJet or something like that. That would be cool, but I think commercial at the minute is for me. But I've also thought about going into like cargo as well. I know there are a lot of night flights and stuff like that, but cargo is another option for me. Like I'd be open to doing that. So I kind of just like yeah, kind of get my foot in the door, get my first job as a commercial passenger airline pilot, and then kind of see where that takes me and what options kind of arise to me at that time.
Cool. Yeah, it sounds like you got your head screwed on with that. I've been reading a couple of books around it, and I had seen a few things. There's some quite interesting ones in there, like medical pilots and like people that do land surveys and stuff. Like, because I've seen people getting their hours up doing that. So it's like quite a lot of different jobs you can do to get your hours up. What have you kind of got planned? Anything like fun? Any new adventures you got planned?
Yeah, so like I was saying, I'm going back to Japan and Bali later this year in September, October. So following on from my kind of backpacking solo trip at the end of last year, there's just a couple more places I want to do, including Australia. So that's kind of next things for me. Get through summer, save up as much money as I can, and then yeah, back traveling end of September for a good 3 or 4 months, and then yeah, back in the UK the start of next year, and then that's kind of when I'll kind of probably focusing on all my pilot training and stuff like that. So yeah, no, lots to be looking forward to. That's for sure.
Have you started kind of getting yourself like your head in gear for that? Because you are a bit of a celebrity as well. So do you think that that will sort of like play into your hands of applying, or do you think they won't even look at it?
I don't. One, I don't. I would never class myself as a celebrity. I mean, I know we were on like a mainstream TV show, but it's not. It's not celebrity status at all, in my opinion. And two, I almost hope that doesn't play into the whole pilot thing. I don't think pilots. I don't think I should be there just because I was on a TV show. If I'm good enough to kind of be a pilot and be training with Ryanair or whoever, I think it should be done on merit, not because I was on a TV show. Like, I mean, yeah, sure, it might play into my hands. Like, I do have a few contacts from pilots, and like I said, I did a thing with British Airways, and we did a thing with EasyJet as well. So yeah, I've got some good contacts, but I think in terms of kind of getting my foot in the door and stuff like that, and the training, it should be all done on merit, and I think that's how it will be. So, but yeah, the contacts I have, and can kind of point me in the right direction. But I don't think there's any shortcuts to becoming a pilot, to be honest, from what I know, and I think that's kind of how it should be.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you on that. You've kind of gone a bit of the long route, but kind of coming back into the fast route, which is really cool. And it's good to see. It's good to see you wanting to follow your dream and your ambition to do that. I think that's brilliant. It'd be really cool to follow you on when you're back on sort of like that whole journey and stuff, and maybe get you down to come and do some stuff with us down here in a simulator and have a bit of a play about, and then meet a couple of the airline captains that we've had come on, and see how you do.
No, 100%. Yeah, when I'm back from my travels in the new year, we can. Yeah, no, we'll definitely do something. And simulators always good fun. I've done a couple of simulators at Luton Airport. Actually, there's a company that runs one down there, so they invited me down. I've been there a couple of times, and they're all good fun. So no, I'd 100% be up for that. Definitely.
You would be our first real star in a reasonably priced simulator.
Yeah,
at that point. So
do a time loop around Luton or something like that. I don't know. We can sort something out, I'm sure.
We've done a couple of episodes now actually where we've got a few time loops around Gatwick Airport.
Oh, there you go then.
And there's been some crashes, and then there's been some wiping out the terminal as well by a couple of people. So I'd definitely love to get you back down when you're actually in ground school and you're starting to do some of those things, and have a bit more of a chat to you about that, and then get you in a sim, maybe even get you up in a Cessna at some point as well. Cool. No, I really appreciate your time coming on today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's been brilliant to chat to you, and yeah, if you want to follow Owen, he's on Instagram, and follow his journey from there. But yeah, thanks very much again, and yeah, cool.